طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما يا كريم. My name is Ahmed Saleem. I'm from Atlanta. I was here I think in summer. It was quite hot in summer, but still hot. It's pretty cold in Atlanta right now. And Canada is even colder. But anyhow, this time around, I was asked to talk about something, more broader, and then, the discussions went into the direction of parenting and being able to discuss a little bit about parenting. Okay, what I'm presenting to you today is a culmination of multiple research papers slash various books written on the concept of parenting in Islam, what it means to be a parent as a Muslim. And also, this is a small sliver of a greater workshop that I usually do, which is called Teenage Matters. Okay, this is just one of the 4 sections of that greater workshop that takes around 6 to 8 hours. It's called Teenage Matters, and it's specifically targeted toward parents who have teenagers or soon-to-be teenagers, like 8, 9, 10. So what we're talking about today is going to be relevant whether you have teenagers, whether you're going to have teenagers, whether you don't have kids, and inshallah Allah will bless you with a kid. Whichever stage you're in, you will benefit from this. Whether you have your siblings, all of this will help you, inshallah. A lot of the research that is here, the credit goes to one education institute based out of Pakistan. It's called ERDC. Who knows what ERDC is? Anybody knows? You know ERDC? Good. So ERDC is Education Research and Development Center, and they primarily focus on doing grassroots psychology and sociology research on Muslim paradigms, and they bring Muslim paradigms of parenting, of marriage, and stuff that is inspired by a religion, and that brings the best of the Western world, but not necessarily copying the Western world. Recreating those models so that they conform to our values, right? And then if we need to add some meat from the Western researchers, then we can do that, okay? So, before we begin, what is the greater goal of parenting? And again, this is going to be a very interactive session. So the more you participate, the better it's going to be. And then afterwards we can have Q&A. What's the greater goal of parenting? Yes?
Like when I look at my own kids, my goal is to make sure that they and when they become adults, that they become good mu'mineen, like good Muslims.
Okay. Okay, so they're good Muslims. Somebody else? What's the greater goal of parenting? It's going to be a lot better if we all participate, inshallah. Otherwise, I'll start picking. And when I pick on you, I won't move on to the next. So, what's the greater goal of parenting? Yeah? There's no right and wrong. We're trying to have a discussion. Okay, so to leave a child behind that when you have left the world, that he makes dua for you or she makes dua for you. Okay. Somebody else? Yeah? Okay, so somebody who is functioning and has the innate capability to navigate the challenges of the world and live through. Excellent. So the greater goal of parenting, I know we didn't set these up for this, but maybe what I'll do after the workshop, or actually let me do it now. Are you guys somehow connected to a WhatsApp community group or something? Okay, perfect. Let me just do this, because I wanted to display this, but again, so what I'll do is I will send, what is this code? I need to add this code. Sorry? There's something going on, so it's okay.
No, it's all set up. Just
I asked, so it's okay. It's okay. No worries. I'm gonna send it to you, Ibrahim. I'm gonna send it to you right now, and if you can, please share it in the WhatsApp group. So somebody, this would just make it a whole lot easier for all of us. Export PDF. Export. Continue. Share. And Ibrahim. Okay, I've shared it with brother Ibrahim, and inshallah he will share it with all of you, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Did you get it? It says sent from my end. Are you using an iPhone? Are you on iPhone or Android? iPhone? Alhamdulillah, you have the right aqidah. You shouldn't have a problem. Okay, I think I resent it. You should have gotten it. Got it? Okay, so he's going to share this with all of you. So if you are on that community group, you guys can get it. It will just be a whole lot easier for you to follow me. So in the absence of that, just think with me like this for a second. I'll just flip this over here for you guys to see on the screen for now. So in the bottom, you have something called confidence, right? You have the layer of confidence, and on top, you have two elements. You have creativity and character, okay? So you have confidence in the bottom, and you have creativity and character. And each one of these boxes we have enough evidences from the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well as the Sahaba Ikram that we know that they were trying to do this. So give me a story from the seerah about confidence, where Prophet ﷺ was trying to instill confidence in a child. All of them? Oh, I was like, well, that's just select all. So before the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just few weeks before, Abu Bakr radiallahu anh is there, Umar radiallahu anh is there, Uthman radiallahu anh is there, and there was a conquest that was being sent. And Usama ibn Zayd, who happened to be a 16-year-old at that time, or 17, he was asked to lead the entire Muslim army. Now, what happened at the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh? Umar radiallahu anh got up and he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, come on, like, we are here. Like, I am here. Uthman is here. Ali is here. Like, Usama, we're going to, like, let's be realistic. Yes, Rasulullah made the decision, but he's no longer with us, and circumstances have changed, and we have to reevaluate this decision. And he said, you want me to change the choice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Right? If you read the explanation of this story, it says that this was a subtle indication by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the last political assignments, right? Like politically speaking, as a general and as a political leader, he says he is going to lead this particular department or this particular conquest. The last decision that he made was to ensure that a person in the age of 17, 18 was appointed to lead an entire army. Can you imagine the confidence? I mean, there were definitely more skilled people than him. Khalid ibn Walid was there. Like, there were way more skilled people. But building confidence, time and again you will see from the stories of Prophet ﷺ that he did that. Give me another story. I have some stories too, but I just want to know if you guys, yeah. I heard someone say something here.
person he sent to Medina before he went was like also young. Yeah.
No, not this one. Somebody else from the sisters. A story where you see Prophet ﷺ trying to build confidence in the child. Anyone? What about the story when Prophet ﷺ, he was in the market and a young boy, he had started up a small entrepreneur type of a shop, right? And all he was selling was maraq, right? He was selling soup. And the story mentions that Rasulullah ﷺ, he enters the market and then he sees this young boy trying to set up. He goes up to him, walks up to him, and he says, Ya ghulam, atabat maraquk? Is your soup ready? So this young boy, he, with his confidence that was instilled, but out of all the vendors, Rasulullah comes to me, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, Na'am ya Rasulullah, laqad tabat maraq. Like my soup is definitely ready. So then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lifts the lid, grabs a piece of bone and suckles on it and says, Na'am, laqad tabat maraquk. Your soup is ready. Right? If it was any one of us that was more experienced in cooking, it would be like, listen, there's a salt a little bit less here and maybe a little bit saffron, you'd have, we would just get that think about it. It's his first time he's setting up something and cooking a soup. You really think Rasulullah ﷺ has had better soups? Definitely. Right? We would take the courtesy, no, we're doing khair for you, inshallah. We'll tell you how to make a better soup, inshallah. Right? Better nihari. Right? All of you that knows, right? If you've made nihari or if you've made any biryani or maqluba first time, right? You're so excited about it, and what do we say? It's okay, but the rice الرز مو مستوي يعني والله الحمد لله يعني على كل حال ممتاز. But we give on one hand, and then the other hand we like, mashallah, take away all the confidence. Right? So one of the essential elements, building blocks, without which the parenting or the tarbiyah or the development of child cannot take place. The building block, the foundation is confidence. You want to know how much confidence Rasulullah had instilled in the children? Obviously with character along, just confidence without character is battamizi, right? Like it's just like just misbehaved child, right? You also want to develop character. Imagine this, Ibn Abbas is sitting on the right hand of Rasulullah ﷺ and Abu Bakr on their left hand, and then a bowl of milk comes. We all know the story, but look at it from the lens of confidence. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam turns completely to Ibn Abbas. The narrator says he physically pivots. And then he says, would you give me permission that I give this bowl of milk to Abu Bakr who's on the left? What does Ibn Abbas say? La ya Rasulullah. There's no way. And then he looks at Abu Bakr and is like, well, it's his right, he's on the right. Right? And he said, if it was a bowl of milk from the hands of anyone else, I would have. But how can I say no to the milk that was given to me by your hands, O Prophet of Allah? And you'll see time and again, during extreme winter cold nights, those of you that have been to Medina in the winter, you know how cold it can get at night. You need sometimes a jacket. And they call it, the Sahrawi cold, right? In Medina, there's a specific type of cold, like it goes, يدخل في العظم, they say, it goes into our bones, right? There's something about the cold there. In that cold, people in the morning would bring their bowls, as it is mentioned in Sirah, water bowls. And what would Rasulullah ﷺ do? What was the purpose of bringing these bowls? And all these kids would line up after Fajr. What was the purpose? All Prophet ﷺ would do is he would take his Mubarak hands, and it is in so many authentic narrations that he would dip his hands in there, and they would take that water as a source of barakah. and they would walk away. But imagine the pain of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that in that cold night, you don't know when the sun is coming out, you don't have a watch, it's like 54 minutes before sunrise. And he is dipping his cold, how many times is he dipping his hands? But imagine, sometimes we think it was a mechanical process where Rasulullah was like sitting like, right? The kid finds it funny, right? We sometimes think it was, no. Do you really think Rasulullah did not have a conversation? He didn't tap on the cheek, right? He didn't caress the child. And imagine that child's feeling when he goes back and tells his mom, tells his dad, oh, today Rasulullah, he, stroked my hair. All of those memories, they were so etched in the psyche of these children that many of the narrations, it says, all of the people who have described the softness of the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are all children who are under the age of 10. They would say, I have never touched something softer than silk than the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another narrator says that the day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shook hands with me, right? He says, I could smell the scent of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ila Jum'atil Qadimah. Until the next Jum'ah I could smell the scent. Another narrator says, these are all young narrators, Ali, and they were all in the under 15 age. But Rasulullah built so much confidence in them. Right? So when we say the greater goals of parenting, I'm not specifically attributing it to the nucleus families, but even masajids. Even masajids, when you see a child who's not happy, they're not smiling, the onus is on the elders to go and check on him, to see what happened. I remember once I was praying in the masjid and I saw, I think he was 13, 14-year-old, and you could tell that this child is having a horrible day just by looking at him. So I went up to him and I said, what's going on? It seems like you're having a very rough day. And he told me, my grandfather died 10 minutes ago. Right? We see those things around. But then that child would remember and he will attach a sense of confidence to the center, to the people, to the affinity to the masjid, and to the people that he interacts with. So confidence is the foundational layer. Now above confidence is character and creativity. Now, when the child is born with almost perfect operating system. One of the most difficult things to do in a human being's life is to master a new language. And the child did that without the intervention of a parent. He didn't need your help or my help to learn the language. Right? Allah has sent a beautiful operating system of that child. If that child is given the right opportunities to display creativity and to display good character naturally, they are born with that. What is the saddest thing that you see, right, is somebody who is less pure trying to fix somebody who's pure. What do I mean by that? If a child today at age 7, 8, 9, 10, before the age of puberty dies, where does he go? Where does he go? Jannah. If you and I die, where do we go? Nobody's saying Jannah right now. People are like, I don't know, Junaina? Maybe? Small Jannah? Right? We don't have that confidence. Because until the child is baligh, he is, his counter is 0. He's pure. And He requires environments where they can build creativity, where they can build their character. Now, character, numerous examples of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaching children how of adab. Teaching children adab. Give me an example of that. Where did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teach adab to a child? Character. Who knows? One story. Yes?
I don't know if it's like solely revolved around character, but whenever like a little boy was about to join war and then wants to go back to his parents.
Beautiful. So when younger children wanted to join the army or the warfare, Prophet ﷺ would teach them the adab of seeking permission of the parents. When they were eating food with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would say Bismillah, eat from that which is in front of you. Today, we have the biggest issue that we face as an ummah is we have an entire generation that does not know basic adab, basic characters. When an elder walks in, I still remember my grandfather, rahimahullah, when he walked in the house. Again, I was a Canadian teenager, right? But I remember my dad is like, "Qum, get up. Like you can't be sitting on a sofa. Your grandfather just walked in. Go grab the bags from him." Right? And you were taught those. Today, like, doesn't matter if it's elder, doesn't matter if it's a guest. How many times do our children have that character, that discipline to display the etiquettes of how to behave in a majlis? Now, if you look at the schools through which most, except one, most of the presidents of America have graduated from, right? You will find that one of the heavy emphasis in those private schools is etiquettes. They actually have classes, like they have 1 hour and 30-minute class a day on etiquettes. How to walk, how to put your shoes on the shelf. How to put your shoes on the shelf. You go there at the Jummah time, alhamdulillah, right? Like Shaykh Yasir Burgess, Hafidhullah, he used to say, a masjid's culture is known by the shoe racks they keep. You want to know what type of a masjid they have? Walk on Jum'ah and see how the shoe place is. Right? You know what Shaykh Yasir Burgess does? If he is not giving the Jum'ah and he's in the majlis, if any shoes are there, he grabs them and throws them in the garbage. He did that for 3 weeks. Nobody puts their shoes on the ground anymore. At all. When expensive Jordans go missing, it hurts. Okay? It hurts. So, character without adab, we cannot teach anything to a child. And when they are pure, they are literally like a sponge. They will absorb every adab you teach them. And then the other part is creativity. The child is naturally inquisitive about things. How many of you have given your children, if they grew up or before, give them a car that was a remote control car? RC car. None of you had those cars? Mash, deprived community. None of you had RC cars? Alhamdulillah, one person, I feel good. I had a Batmobile when I was a kid. When I was 16 or 14, I had a Batmobile, right? Batman Forever, or whatever, that mobile. Now, if the child is inquisitive, what do they do with that car? After they're done playing with it, now it's no longer fascinating for them. What's the next thing they do? Take it apart. They take it apart, they're like, what is moving this thing? Why is this thing moving? And what's the general response of a parent? Haram, what do you do? A'udhu billah, I paid $50 for that. You're going to open this thing? The very thing that the child was born to do, to ask questions, we stifle questions. Don't ask me too many questions. एक तो तुम्हारे सवाल ही नहीं बंद होते. यानी your questions, لا حول ولا قوة. Right? Mani fadi, I don't have time for you. See, if your child is not coming to you and asking you new questions within a week, you do not have a relationship with your child. If they're not coming to you and asking you new questions, Baba, what is this? Mama, what is this? Then know that you have been disqualified in the eyes of that child as a parent. They don't see you as a role model. And the same goes for teachers, and the same goes for mentors in the masajid. Now, this Islamic parenting model, we spend around 2 hours explaining this, right? I'm just trying to do it in 15 minutes so we can actually move on to the next part, right? So we spend around 2 hours going into details of character. There's like 5 different paradigms under character. There's 3 different paradigms under creativity, and then confidence and all of that, so you understand the paradigm completely. Now, what is the foundation? If I was to say, for a mother or father, they must look dash. And if you were to fill in this word dash, a mother or a father in the house must look dash. What is that word dash? That is the prerequisite for you to have a relationship with your child. What's that word? Fill in the blanks. What is that dash? A father must look dash. A mother must look dash in the house. Or you can switch, approachable? Anyone? Come on, I'm not going to tell you guys. Somebody said it. Respectful? Neutral? I didn't understand what he said. Parental? Absolutely not. Like, that's going to make sure that the child doesn't even come to you. Patient? No. Huh? Happy. The number one prerequisite through research that determines your child's mental health is the happiness of the father and the happiness of the mother in the house. Nothing, no therapy, no mental health classes, no drugs have a greater impact on the child's mental health and the child's ability to develop confidence than having happy parents in the house. Because they feel a sense of security. They feel that when they come home, they can be happy. Now, that doesn't mean as a mother or father you're not going through things, but not in front of your child. Not in front of your teenager. You cannot. You don't. Look at every example of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of Umar radiallahu anhu, Abu Bakr. In the house, always happy. Without happiness, staying happy, you cannot build confidence in your child. Now, staying happy, what is happiness? Let's first define that. How does happiness look like? First thing that you have to be doing is what? Smile! And smiling is what? Sadaqah. I mean, these are basics. I'm not teaching anything new. I'm just putting it in a new format for you. Right? Tabassumu fi wajhi akhika sadaqah. Okay? A sister came to me, she says, I read this hadith and I was walking on the street and every time I saw a brother, I smiled at their faces. I said, sister, no, this was akhika, generality, which means you don't, no, it says akhika, it says, so every time I see a brother, I smile at him because it's sadaqah. I said, no, that's not what the hadith was referring to. But sometimes people are so naive, they read the hadith and they really want to practice it and they don't read the explanation of it, right? And subhanAllah, they'll get rewarded for that. But smiling is the first. When you walk home, when you enter your house, when I enter my house, How is my wife? How are you as a father? When you walk as a father, if you're coming back from work, as a mother, if you're coming back from work, take a pause. Take a pause. Don't get in the house immediately. Reset yourself. Allow yourself to reset, saying, I am going to walk in with yes, all my problems at work, all my problems, whatever happened at the door, in the car, no more. And you walk in, at that moment, you turn off your phone and you be as happy as possible. All of you who have had children and now they are teenager and they're not with you, every single one of you that is in this room can tell me you will remember the moment when you used to come back from work or come back from outside and your children would come running after you. But then eventually they stopped. Because they did not find the happiness they were looking for in their father, in their mother. I was talking to one teenage girl and she was having some sessions with me. And so obviously we were on the phone call, and my rule is like if they're teenagers, one of the parents have to be there, even on a virtual call. So we're on the virtual call and the father is there. So I say to the girl, so when was the last time you saw your mother happy? And the girl says, my mother, she is always happy when she sees other kids, but just not us. So the father, he says, that's the same with me too, by the way. She never smiles at me too. She's always smiling at the other when other people are home, she's always smiling, but just with me. She said, there must be a problem with my wife then. And I said, brother, this is not your session. You can have your therapy later. Okay, this is for the teenager. We're trying to solve her problem here, right? So, but the reality is that the child recognizes this, that my mom is only happy when she is. And we all know, if you are from a Desi household, you know exactly what happens in a Desi household right before a guest arrives. Do you see those spider webs in the corner of the house on the top? That has to be cleaned. Mom, like the guest is not gonna. Nope, it has to be clean. Everything has to, we have to present our house like nobody lives here. It should be so clean. You know what I'm talking about? Right? And who gets the harsh end of this? Usually our sisters. Right? Right? The mother is not going to push the brothers to clean. It's the poor sisters who end up doing all the house cleaning, all the cooking, everything. And the brothers are just like sitting and eating food, which is not actually the way of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm not saying the sister should not be in the kitchen, but like when it is a major gathering, the husband should be part and parcel of that. And when the son or the daughter, they don't see that, they walk away with feelings. They walk away with feelings. Number two, the second thing that causes you to be happy and for your child to feel that you are happy in the house is less talking and more ears. Speak less as a parent and listen more. And oftentimes parents are like, oh, if I stop talking, my child doesn't talk. Yeah, because he wanted to talk, she wanted to talk, but they have completely shut down because they know that my parent is not going to listen to me. They're not interested in my story. They're not interested in my story. One of the interesting exercises that I did, I had a very rough year in my life, and it impacted my mental health really, really bad, right? And I'm saying this not to brag, but I want people to know that even imams, it doesn't matter, we all are human beings. It was so bad that I couldn't sleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I did not know that it was. And here I was helping everyone, but my own life was going through, and whatever I was going through was really tough. But here's the interesting thing that happened. Less talk, more ears. I wanted to build a relationship with my children because I realized that in that 8-9 months, they went really far from me. Like I needed to reconnect. So, do you know, anybody knows, like, anybody here from India or Pakistan and, they're in their 50s or 60s, they would probably remember this concept. This concept is called the concept of bayad. Anybody knows that? No? So, bayad is a concept which is blank white journals. And back in the day, parents would keep blank white journals, and for every child that they would have a shelf and a blank white journal in there. And that was your child's way of discreetly communicating with you without getting into trouble. So what I did is I got 6 journals and I gave to all of my children, and I said, write whatever you want to write in it. And the only promise I will tell you is, whatever you write, be honest and open your heart, and I will not get upset. And subhanAllah, what I used to think was my daughter's problem was actually not the problem at all. And when she shared things, I was like, oh my God, really? That's the problem? And as a father, it was an eye-opening for me. I was like, Ajib, that was, in my wildest dream, that should not be the problem. I thought I have taught her better. She should not have this problem. But she did. Right? So that's a great concept of if it's hard for the child to talk initially, to use some form of journals and put like names on them, and one page they write, one page you, and then this is great if you have older kids. And if they have walked away and they come over the weekend, if they're going to university, they come back on the week, it's a great opportunity for a parent to connect with them. Okay? And number 3, happiness is to stay calm and relaxed no matter what. So stay calm and relaxed. My mentor, he used to say that a messy house is a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite for tarbiyah. I'm not saying a filthy house. There's a difference between a filthy house and a messy house. Messy, that things are disorderly. It's a prerequisite, right? He used to say that when we get a sofa, and when you give any of these children the liberty and free them, like this little girl, if she's freed from all the rules, look, she just walked away with the bottle. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. Confidence. She's like, I don't care. There are no rules. Then what do? Every time they want to explore, we put rules. Oh, we can't go here. No, we can't sit there. No, we can't do this. I'm not saying don't develop adab, but constantly saying no to the child completely removes them from the ability of taking risks. They won't take risks anymore. Right? They're going to become risk averse. And they will completely not be confident at all. Now, in order for us to be able to build a relationship with our children, we have to work on our inner condition. Okay? So there's an entire section that we do on our inner condition. Right? How are you from inside? Now we're going to do an exercise together. I want you all to identify, this is you don't need to say it to me. Identify something that in the last 30 days, something that happened to you, and if you forget that particular event, you and you say, I don't want to think about it, I'm going to completely try to learn whatever I need to learn from that event, and I'm going to delete it from my conscious memory. If you forgot that, you will become happier. So think of an event or an incident that happened to you in the last 30 days that you're holding on to, and it's not making you very happy. And if you forgot that event, it will allow you to become happier. Okay? Take 30 seconds to a minute, close your eyes, and think about that event. Could be personal, private, it could be an email, could be a text message, could be a WhatsApp, whatever it is. Okay. All right, so what happens as a consequence of your inner self inside of you being happy? What happens? What's the consequence of you being happy as a parent? What do you think is the consequence? Between your child, if you as a mother now for the next 30 days present yourself as being extremely happy, or as a father, super happy in the house, between the husband and wife, whatever issues they may arise, you settle them in the bedroom. Right? You discuss it, not in front of your kids. But if you present yourself as a happy couple in front of the child, in front of your children, what do you think is the consequence? What will happen?
I know, like personally, when I have a better day, I have more patience for them.
Beautiful.
And when I have more patience for them, then there's not any type of lashing back and forth. Even if they did the same thing, I'll be able to handle it better.
Beautiful.
And then they'll be able to, especially at that preteen,
Reciprocate.
right? Sometimes they act without thinking at that age.
Beautiful.
So then they'll pause. Oh no, Mama, I'm sorry, I did that.
Beautiful.
I don't have it.
So this, Mama, I'm sorry I did that. What is that called?
Adam?
Relationship.
Yeah.
You become eligible as a mother, as a father, you become eligible in your child's eye, and now they want to have a relationship with you. Okay? You will become, and that applies for an older child. That applies for, it doesn't matter. I know somebody who has a son who's 31 years old, he doesn't want to even talk to his father. Okay? It's difficult. It's extremely difficult because the years that you were supposed to build that relationship, right? I'm just going to go back to that parenting model for 1 second. So confidence, character, creativity. Any form of education, any form of immersion, any form of Sunday school, any form of Islamic school, any form of anything that impacts these three fundamentals, it will destroy your child from inside. How many of us, is it possible for you to have a person who is a hafiz of Quran and have bad adab? Yes. Is it possible for somebody to be super successful in their university but then have a horrible relationship with their wife? Yes. Today the problems that we see that permeate its heads in various different places in our lives, all are because that child, one of these three things were impacted. One of these three, and these are non-negotiable. Okay? Once my Shaykh was teaching a class and children were running around like that. And so one of the brothers, he grabbed 1, 2, 3 and then took all the kids. And the Shaykh said that if you don't hear the laughing and the crying of the children in your masjid, then cry for your next generation because there will be nobody in the masjid. Right? So them running around and stuff like that is one of the most beautiful signs that we can have. You should come and see in our masjid when we do our Friday nights. It's like 100 kids that are sitting in front of me. So the mothers are there, the fathers are there, and all the kids are like, right? And then it is so, like 35-minute lecture for me is more draining with those kids because they demand, like they're like buzzing bees. They demand energy. And I have to operate at, like I have 35 minutes, I'm done. I'm like, I cannot do the lecture anymore. But they love it, right? They're desperately looking for somebody that can capture their attention. right? So relationships is the consequence. Now, outcome of relationships. If you have a relationship with your child, there are three main outcomes that are going to happen. Okay? Number one, your child is going to have emotional maturity. If your child has a relationship with you as a mother or a father, right? And if you happen to be a single mother or a single father, studies have shown that basically they will latch on, like if it's a single father, so they will latch on the motherhood element to the father, right? As long as the father gives care, right? Similar thing goes for the mother. They would seek to have the element that they miss from their father in the mother. Now, is that optimal? No, it's not, right? We have to be able to provide mentorship opportunities for these children. But emotional maturity is number one. That's the first thing that's going to happen. Today, you have so many of our children today that are hungry for love from their parents, from their uncles, from their aunts. They're just desperately hungry for love. Have you ever seen that land, like for example in Arizona, the cracked land which is so dry, so parched dry that if you can just keep on pouring water and water and water and water and it just keeps soaking its water and nothing happens to the land because it's so dry that it'll suck up all the water. That is how many of our children are today. They're completely thirsty for love. And what is the biggest blocker that is preventing a mother or a father to be able to love their child completely? This. Okay? I want you guys to do this activity right now. Open your phones and go to screen time. Open your phones. Come on guys, let's go. It's an activity. Some guys like, I don't want to open this. I know it's not going to be good. But it's a reality check. Look at the screen time. What's your screen time? Tell me. It's okay, you can share. 4 hours. What was his? Did you want to share? 12 hours. 12 hours of screen time. That's all the time that is away from dhikr, all the time that is away from, okay? And I hope that, the brother is watching, positive YouTube videos and stuff, inshallah. Okay, anybody else that has the courage to share their screen time? Yeah? 2 hours is great. 2 hours, 18 minutes. 2 hours, 18 minutes, excellent. So, hunger of love. The second thing is something called hunger. The second thing is called hunger of hugs. When was the last time you hugged your teenager, you hugged your child? And if you are a child, when was the last time you hugged your parent? Right? And if they are alive today, it's an opportunity for you to fulfill that. Because either one of them will soon not be alive. We all have an expiration date. Number two is you become eligible for their tarbiyah. So the outcome of relationship is now they will allow you to be their mentor. The closest word in the translation of tarbiyah, the closest concept in English language that you can translate the word tarbiyah is mentorship. Tarbiyah is not that your child does what you want. Tarbiyah is that the child knows what is the right thing to do and you support him in doing that right thing. Not force him. Okay? For example, I was in Home Depot, and one of the girls that attend, one of the girls that attends one of the classes with me, Seerah classes, she saw me in the Home Depot, so she quickly put her hand in the bag and she put on a scarf, right? And I told her, I said, so and so, you don't wear the scarf for me. Right? Don't ever wear the scarf for a human being. You either wear it or you don't, but don't be a hypocrite. Because hypocrisy is a greater sin. So be happy and ask Allah to give you the strength to wear it properly. But don't ever wear it for, and then most of the time we face this issue when we have, again, you become eligible for tarbiyah, but our version of tarbiyah is, Ana agul lak, I will tell you what you're going to do and you're going to do it. Bas. Khalas. Right? What do we say? Ultillak, khalas, ma fi kalam. I'm not listening. Right? Bas, bol diya maine. Right? What happens? Complete, there's no no, that's not tarbiyah. That's dictatorship. Right? Tarbiyah is where you support your child so they have the autonomous ability to make the right decisions. And if they make the wrong decisions, what do they say? I know you did not do wudu. Right? And sometimes some parents are so paranoid. May Allah help us all. A mother came to me and she said, I know my daughter does not make wudu. I said, how do you know that? She was in the bathroom when she comes out. I go and check the sink. The sink is dry. I know that she did not do wudu. I said, only if you put in that much effort on the sajjada in front of Allah, that Allah guides her heart to make proper wudu. Because today you're there, tomorrow you're not going to be. So tarbiyah is you become eligible. When you have a relationship with your child, when you're happy, the relationship is the outcome and you become eligible in the eyes of the child that they're willing to listen to advice from you. And sometimes because the relationship, just going from being happy and developing a relationship and becoming eligible, if you have not done that, sometimes it may take 4 or 5 years of work on the part of the parent before they can see you as a mentor. May Allah give us tawfiq. And the last part is that child will have inner satisfaction. The child will have inner satisfaction. They will be satisfied from inside, from whatever, doesn't matter even if they are doing something that is not seemingly prestigious in our eyes, they will be satisfied from inside. Because they know that my father is happy, my mother is happy. I remember having food once at a dinner table and, one of the brothers that were there, he was 17, 18. And obviously he came from a family of all of them were either nephrologist or neurologist and all gists. So the expectation was you are going to become some professional. Yeah, not just, doctor is too low, you're going to become a specialist, right? That's just like entry-level doctor, like Ajib Miskin, right? So that's the type of family. And this child, he says, this teenager, he took the courage on the dinner table and he said, I'm gonna go into liberal arts and I'm not gonna do any of that. And on that dinner table, the father said, leave my house now. You can only be part of this house if you agree to become a doctor, otherwise I don't owe you anything, you're no longer my son. I was witness to that. Right? What happened to the confidence? What happened to character? What happened to creativity? So that child, if a child grows up and becomes an adult and they never had a relationship with their parent, the biggest indicator of that I see, that they may achieve great things in career, they may achieve great things, like they will succeed in university, they will succeed, they will get a job, all of that. but they will not be able to build and keep relationships at all. They will not be able to keep relationships. And one of the biggest reasons why, this is my humble own understanding of why this is happening, is the immigrant generation when they came, my parents, for example, they came, their predominant language was what? Urdu. Right? The vocabulary that my dad has at his disposal in Urdu is close to 400,000 or 500,000 words. But the vocabulary that my dad has at his disposal in English is probably like 350, 400 words. Right? And no matter what happens, as a child, your mother tongue is the operating system in which you will understand the world. No matter how many languages you speak. I speak fluently 5 languages. Right? But it's the language of your dreams. When you dream, your base, what do they call it? You have the operating system and you have something below the operating system. There's a word for it. The kernel or kernel, the kernel? The kernel, right? Like the core operating system on which everything is built is your language. And today the issue that we're having with so many divorces, and as an imam we see this all the time, the fact that we're seeing that 1 in every, Pew Research just came out in 2023, 1 in every 4 Muslims born in America are leaving Islam. All of that, if you want me to summarize it, it is because the operating system in which my generation was raised in, like my operating system is Urdu. Because for the first 7 years of my life, I heard Urdu. Right? And I can fluently speak Urdu, and I made sure that my children, all of them, they're fluent in Urdu. Although they're born in America, in Canada, I made sure they're like fluent in Urdu. Because that is the operating system in which you will be able to explain to that child. Now, every American born Desi, confused Desi, ABCDs, right? Or Canadian born confused Desis, or even Canadian born Arabs, American born Arabs. You know the challenge you have to be able to articulate, because your operating system as a child was Arabic, but when you went to public school, it became English. Now you are not able to convey the pain that you have to your parent. They're not able to understand because they can't even respond back to you because they don't have the vocabulary. And we've also lost the touch with our elders, whose vocabulary and operating system was either Arabic, Urdu, Senegalese, whatever language you came from. And when we lose that, we lose inner satisfaction, and we lose the ability to operate in the society and maintain relationships. And that is what's happening today. The consequences of poor parenting choices. Again, I can carry on. The slides are pretty big, but we'll stop over here. What time is it? 21. We'll stop over here. If anybody has any pertinent questions, please keep it to the parenting topic. If it is going to be mortgage related, I will leave the masjid. Somebody said to me, "Oh Shaykh, I have a question. Which direction should I pray if I am on the Starlink ship of Elon Musk and I land on the moon or the Mars?" So yes, so I said to the person, I'm going to respond to you with what I saw my Shaykh respond to back in 1999, rahimahullah, Shaykh Yusuf Islahi. Shaykh Maulana Yusuf Islahi came to our masjid, and there was a person, and he said, "Shaykh, which direction am I going to pray if I'm on the moon?" The Shaykh said, "Do you have a pen and paper?" He said, "Yes." Open. Back in the day, people had pens and papers. Nobody does that anymore. He took out a pen and paper. Write down 678-404-5059. When you get to the moon, call me. Right? So, any questions pertaining to parenting, there's a mic, or you can just, speak up. Inshallah. If anybody has a question, we can pass on the mic. There's this mic, we can give that to the sisters and we can give that to the brothers.
Oh, yeah, it's set up.
It's set up for the sisters? Okay. It's better if you just give it to the sisters rather than them coming up. Yeah, just give it to one of the sisters and she can pass around. If they don't want to come up and talk. MashaAllah, you understood everything. I love it. It's the easiest audience. Oh, she has a question. Okay, mic at the back. Let's go. Alaikum assalam.
So the question is, I know the answer is going to be like context-based, but I just wanted to get your general thoughts. When it comes to a child or like a teenager, if they are wanting to do something or insistent on doing something that isn't Islamically correct, how as parents, like how can we, using the tarbiyah method, not dictatorship method, how can we help them towards like what is correct? Is it
Okay.
you have to or you don't?
Got it. So if it's going to harm them physically, you have to stop that. But if it is like, if they want to do something, and again, it depends on the threshold of haram, right? Like if it's like kaba'ir, you have to stop it, right? You have to have a conversation with them. I wouldn't force the child. But question for everyone, if you do force the child and stop him, do you think that's going to stop the child? It won't. I don't want you to meet Farhan, this friend of yours, Farhan, I don't want you to meet. Now hear what the child's brain is saying. I will now make sure that I meet Farhan. That's the child of the teenager. Okay? Actually, one of the things that we do in the activity in the teenage workshop is we have a list of questions. And we go through like list of prompts. You said this. And what we do is we make parents respond to, how does the teenager hear this? So it's like you said it, but the teenager heard it completely different. So the answer to that is conversation. If you're already at that point where they have made the decision to do something haram, it's too late already for conversations. Now, you have to make a decision how much influence you have on that child. If you think that you have lost that battle right now, don't pick that fight at that moment. Don't pick that fight at that moment. Build a relationship. Build a relationship. The reason is because if you pick that fight, the system around us is not there to support us. As a matter of fact, this is something for anybody to think about. Do you know that if a Jewish child has behavioral issues and they call the family services, they don't go to regular family, they call it FACS. What do they call it here? Family Protective Services, whatever. What do they call it? Anybody knows the name? Whatever. So that whatever name, for the Jewish people, they have their own. When the police come and they see it's a Jewish child, it doesn't go to the regular services. They have set up their own system and they've got it regulated by the government that it follows their doctrinal methods of whatever the rabbi and all of that are going to teach that child to conform to the teachings of the parent. And they have the same thing in Canada. Any Jewish child that comes, police comes to the door, Jewish child, all right, we're going to call the family services. We're not authorized or trained. We respect your religion so much, we're going to refer you to this, Jewish services of yours, right? But we as Muslims, we are 12 times the population of the Jewish population in America. And also in Canada, we're even greater. But we're not focused on these systems. We're just focused on making sure that my child becomes a doctor or engineer, or worst case scenario, a lawyer, right? And then if you can't become anything, at least make sure you go work for the FANG. You know what that FANG is? Right? People who know what FANG is, they know what FANG is, right? What's FANG? Facebook, Apple, Alphabet, okay, Apple, it's debatable. Netflix and Google. Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and Google. FANG. Okay? But anyhow, good question. Barakallahu feek. Next person. We wanted to do anonymous. Yes, yes.
We have some hadith.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Barakallahu feek.
I wanted to ask, how do we align this tarbiyah method with some of the hadith that we know, like the famous one about salah, commanding your children to prayer when they're 7 or 10.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely elaborate on that. Everybody's got, who has a calculator on their hand? Anybody's got a calculator? All right, great. What age are you supposed to command the child? At what age for salah? 7. What age did Prophet ﷺ say that you can hit the child? 10. From the time he is 7 until he becomes 10, how many salahs would he have to pray? Who can do the math for that? 365 times 5. 5,000 what? 5,475. Prophet ﷺ gave us the permission to hit your child if they don't pray after you as a father or mother have told your child 5,475 times to pray. Now I had a neighbor, she was a dog trainer. You guys are gonna laugh at this, but it's amazing. And I saw her training these puppies. She would have these puppies and she would she would do all of these weird moves and it's like, come, and then she was training them for service dogs. And so one day she was walking up and down and she would walk, loop, and she would do all these weird things, and then she would give the whatever command and the dog would submit and all of that. So I asked her, I said, how many times do you have to tell a dog a particular command before they actually, because they can't understand, but they can understand reward mechanism. But how many times do you have to repeat it so that it becomes part of the dog's psyche? What do you think is the number? 7? No. No. Come on, our children are like dog. But come on, like that was 700 times. Our children are smarter than dogs. Even if we had told a child 700 times to pray, you won't have to hit the child. Right? And if you read the sharh of this hadith, it says the hitting part, right? Some of the people, they say it's actually to emphasize how important it is, the 5,545 times. It's to emphasize that, don't miss out on these 5,500. And what do we say? Bachcha hai. He's small. Allah صغير. Allah la. Salat al-Fajr. Ya, miskeen. Right? I was like, what? We went camping. And mashallah, we had all Arab families and Somali families, all of them. Fajr time comes, there's only 2 kids in the Fajr. I'm like, where are all the kids? They're all 8, 9, 10, 11, some are 12. They're like, miskeen, wallah, last night, Shaykh, he was very late, it became too late. I don't want to disturb, he needs to get his 9 hours. We screw our own children for our belief systems, not them. If you wake up the child and say, pray, wallahi, the child will pray and go back to sleep faster than you. But he will know that this is something important for my life. I have a rule right now with my older children. I'm trying to train them. They're 17 and 15. I don't want to be a parent who wakes them up. So I want to build autonomy in them. Alhamdulillah, my older daughter is fine, but now the older ones I have to. So all I do as I wake up, Assalamu alaikum, it's time for Fajr, Alexa, hang up. obviously, my wife is not settling well with that. She's like, no, we gotta go and wake them. I'm like, listen, it's not your responsibility. They're baligh. We have taught them the deen, we've taught them aqidah, we've taught them fiqh, we've taught them these are the fara'id. They have to own up to the responsibility. The reason why it's so important to raise especially men like this, especially men, and I'll emphasize this, is because many sisters, they end up becoming victims of our overprotectiveness of the men, children, young men when they're being raised. We don't want to question them, we don't want to, there's so many rules applied to the girl, but not too many on the brothers. It's okay, he can go out, he can have this, he can have like whatever, he can come whatever, but all the rules apply to the girls. And this person was never given any responsibility, they were never given any ability to make proper decisions in life. Even the car color of his own car, the parents did not let him choose that. He's buying a new car, don't buy a black car, it's Houston, it's going to be very hot, wallah. Well, why? Let him make the mistake. So allow your children to make failures, especially your men, allow the young men to have failures early on in their lives so that when they are becoming men who Islamically are supposed to be leading a family, they know how to lead. But if they've never had a failure, the first failure they has, the guy's like, khalas, I'm done. Right? Wallahi, I did a nikah. The marriage broke in 4 weeks. They came to me and they said, Shaykh, we want talaq. I said, what happened? The sister is like, this guy can't make a decision. Literally 4 weeks, she became crazy. I'm like, why? Everything. Mama, I'm going to buy grocery. Which milk should I buy? Mama's boy. You know what I call these? I call them man cubs. I'm serious. I call them man cubs. We need a Sher Khan to wake them up. Yes, exactly from the Lion King. We need but we need that tiger. We need Sher Khan to wake them up. I love The Jungle Book. It's the best movie of all times. Anyhow. Anybody else? Yes, go ahead, sister. The mic is traveling to you. Be patient and it will arrive. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah.
About the characteristics or things that you feel like impact the relationship with the parent. If you feel as though the sibling hasn't had a breakthrough or has reached a level with the parents that they want, and they feel as though either like confidence, curiosity has been broken down, what would you advise either the sibling or the actual child themselves to do to get back to a high point of care?
Beautiful. Firstly, that's if the child has those feelings that they want to build a really good relationship with their parent, and there happens to be some barriers in between. Firstly, the fact that you have that true intention, I am very, very hopeful in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah will open paths for you if you have the right intentions. Because no father and no mother in their sane minds, if their child is reaching out to them, are going to say no. But I have seen really bad examples in the community. So I'm skeptical too. One of the things you can do is rely on some elders within the family. That is why we as Muslims, we have a system of elders. Right? We learn from elders. Right? There's this entire system of cross-generational learning. Take maybe an older auntie that you trust. We always have this one lady in the house. It could be your close relative, it could be a good friend of your mother, and go and talk to them about it. Right? You can open up to them. They can have a conversation with your mother. They know how to get through their mother, right? And then eventually when they're ready, when they say, okay, let's do this patch up and we will allow you to connect and stuff like that. Don't do it directly because sometimes the parent may feel offended. Now, if it happens to be your sibling, then if you happen to be an elder sibling to this person, then you go and talk to the parents on their behalf. And if you happen to be a younger sibling, then use some of your elder cousins in the house, or somebody else that is a little bit higher in the age, because if they're cultural parents, age makes a difference. If they're raising you culturally, right, age is a huge impact, right? And sometimes you can also tap into the imams of the local masjids and stuff, right? They can do a casual, they can bring it up in a casual manner, not in an indirect manner. And inshallah, it will, and then lastly, it's dua, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open their hearts for you or for your sibling is one of the best ways, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can break down all of these barriers. وَإِيَّاكُمْ. Oh, I can go on. I'm thrilled. Oh, we have a class tomorrow. Those of you, we have a class tomorrow. If you want to learn, all I can tell you is if you spend the weekend, inshallah, together. Last time I did the tafsir of Surah Kahf, and I did a very short version of that. How many of you were here last time for tafsir of Surah Kahf? The portions that we did? Okay. So what we did last time was a summarized version. This time around, what we're trying to do is we have 6 hours tomorrow, from 1 o'clock to when?
6:30.
1 to 6:30, 1 to 6:30. So we almost have 10 hours together, Saturday and Sunday. And I can tell you that if you guys come tomorrow, inshallah, all throughout, you're going to walk away after this weekend never ever reading Surah Al-Kahf. There are going to be things that will be opened up. And last time I couldn't go into any of those details because I was so constricted on time that I needed to finish that story. So inshallah, we have that flexibility. Please do come out tomorrow. There will be lunch also. Dinner, sorry. Desi people, 3 o'clock lunch. Right? Dinner. There will be dinner, inshallah, for everyone. So please do come out, bring your friends and everyone, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. And in the end, we ask Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, truly the understanding of trying to connect with our children and make us worthy of the tarbiyah of our children, inshallah. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kaseera. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.